Hello again, YouTube. This is I'm Donut Silver, and today we're going to be opening up Afterworld Egyptian versus Japanese. I can see that right down there. Still has the. This is a game by Panini. It's a board game / card game hybrid. If you've already seen the Norse and Atlantean opening, then this is going to be a little bit similar to that. It's just the other two factions in the game. All right, so this is Egyptian and Japanese. Well, rip off the little plastic on it. The wife and I have been playing it, the Norse and Atlantean one, pretty good. First game we played took about 2.5 hours, but we finally got it shorthanded down to its estimated time of 45 minutes. So expect a gameplay video shortly. We're still not 100% familiar. Don't want to make, fools of ourselves or whatever. And this is the back of it. As you can see, it's got different artwork from the previous. Again, sorry about the glare. This has got Japanese and Egyptian artwork, cards, because the red's Japanese, yellow Egyptian, instead of just the Atlantean thing, which, Great Library, Fortress, I guess that's an Atlantean card too. So, either way, that's the back of it. The side of the boxes don't really change that much, just the back. Alright, so, sorry again about the glare. Got an overhead lamp here. But yep, Egyptian, Japanese. Now what you get in these 2-player starters, full color rule book. I went through this with the first one. It's got a bunch of fancy art in it and, how to actually play the game. You get 2 of these ridiculously large play mats. Like, I can't even fit the entire thing on camera, but it's like a 3-folded segmented board. The wife and I just took a paper cutter, and honestly, we cut it like right about here. So this is the only important part, and then we just lay out where our commanders and units go underneath these 2 boards. But this is just ridiculous. And when you open it up, you're supposed to have this side, and then your opponent's supposed to have this. Anyway, it's like 6 feet long to keep these boards. And I don't know about anybody out there, but if you're going to try it, you're not going to really have 6 feet worth of space to be able to work it the way they wanted it to be worked. So we cut our other boards in half, and they work out to be absolutely perfect. Alright, the same as with the last one. There's a booster pack in here. 10-card booster pack. The wife and I will be playing on-camera games, and the winner will be able to open up this booster pack in a segment after said video. Alright, we got that. The stands that you're supposed to be able to put your commanders in to move them across the board. These are fun, but we also noticed, and this is kind of a little pet peeve of ours, the cards, as I will be showing off when we get there, I might as well start with the commanders here. I'll show you what I mean. There are commanders, and these are the ones that actually move around the board. These are your, yeah, let's just open it and get to it, I guess. Alright, I'm going to open up first, and these are going to be the territories and the commanders for both the Japanese and the Egyptians. I got that off the board here. Alright, and this is Yaguru, revered teacher for the Japanese faction. He's got 2 movement patterns. You guys can see that without it being too glary. He's got 2 movement patterns, and they're solid. He can have 5 characters in his army, or 5 units in his army by there. Yeah. Anyway, you get 2 copies of them in the base set. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to place them back to back, and then slide them in the stand. That way you can move them upwards across the territories in the game. But here's the problem with that. It's supposed to be open information for both you and your opponent, but for him it's not going to matter too much, but for other guys that have all over the place grids, it doesn't mirror. It's the exact same thing. So when your opponent's looking at it from their side of the board, they think you're going to move in a different direction than what you're actually going to be able to move. So this idea, although well-intentioned, I'm sure, doesn't really play out in-game the way I'm guessing they were hoping it would. So anyway, that's one of the red commanders, another one of the red commanders, and again, with his movement pattern, it wouldn't really matter as they are the same style for both, but for a character, like, wow, these guys actually have really good movement patterns here. Alright, so that's the 3rd for the Japanese. We got to the Japanese fortresses. Alright. Alright, and now these are the cards that go down in your commander and unit area. That's so you can assign your commander and what units are going to actually have. These cards go sideways, so it's a nice little reference card for them, but it's just more of the same characters. All three of the ones we previously saw. And then we've got the Egyptian people. All right, again, that's a pretty decent movement grid. Easy enough to see. But here we go. This will be a good example of what I was talking about. Because then again, you've got, you see how these movement angles here are off to the right and left, up and down and all that kind of stuff. So when you place the other copy of the card here, you'll be able to see the way you're actually going to move. But now your opponent's going to think you're moving the opposite way. So even though you know you can move this way and this way, your opponent is seeing you can move this way. And, you know, it's going to screw things up a little bit because it's supposed to be predictable information. And there are a lot of references, sure. But in actual game, moving the piece around the board like this, it's going to tell your opponent you're moving backwards and all that. So we've just taken the one copy of the card and just moving it around the board as we move it face up. And that'll lend itself better to gameplay anyway. That way you can see what commander is moving where. Alright, so there's the other commander there. And he's got the same kind of janky movement patterns that would be hard to tell. Alright, and then here are the Egyptian fortresses. And, yeah, we're back to the Egyptian, where you set out your units and your commander so you can have reference to their abilities and all that. But yeah, the Egyptians were what I was really looking forward to, but we were recommended to learn the game with the Norse and Atlantean as they were more straightforward. But I've really been wanting to open this one and actually play this one. So to honor that, I was a big fan of the Egyptian idea. We're going to open up the Egyptians starting deck first. Alright. So this is a Vindictive Hurler, and you can have 4 of it. And like the other video, there's most likely going to be 4 copies of it. So we're going to take and send... We'll put those guys back down there for now. Alright, so the deck limit is 4. And it's got 3 attack, 3 health, and it costs 3 food to bring into play. But you can have 4 copies in a deck, so we're going to have 4 copies in the starting deck, of course. Now we got a Sapphire Scarab. It says you can have 6, so let's see how many of them we actually have. Probably 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yep, still keeping true. Alright, Prophet of the Gods at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, Palace Guard at 4. Onyx Scarab at 4, and 4 copies, of course. Harbinger of Death at 2 copies. Oh boy, that is a nice looking card right there. Alright, 2 copies of that. Follower of Ra at 4. Yeah, I like the looks of that one too. Elite Slinger at 4. Alright. Now we're getting into the equipments. Greaves of the Pharaoh. So that's like the leg armor or whatever, I guess. And that would be 4 copies of that. Cursed Dagger. There are 4 copies of that. The Ankh of Orisis. 1 copy of that, so it's got to be pretty powerful. It's a relic that goes onto your... it's an equipment relic that goes onto your fortress. That's new. So you're not putting it on a character or a commander, you're putting it actually on your fortress. Alright, now on to the events. Shower of Scarabs. 4 copies of that. Search for the Lost City with 3 copies. Devastating Winds with 2. Resupply with 2. Call of the Dead at 4. Acid Spray at 4. And that ends the Egyptian deck. Alright. Place that back down here in their little trays. Again, these boxes are pretty great for keeping track of everything. You can separate out the, just have them right next to each other with the characters and all that. Alright, so this will be the Japanese starting deck. And get the garbage out of the way. And we start this off with Weaponsmith of Fire. 2 copies of that. The Wandering Ronin gives you 4 copies. Spiritual Yamabushi at 2. Yamabushi of Yang at 2. Loyal Yojimbo at 4. Friendly Kami. Yeah, that was at 4. Feudal Samurai at 4. Dojo Sensei at 4. Archers at 4. Now on to the equipment. We got a Wakatashi at 4. A Sakabato at 2. Katana at 4. A Kabuto at 4. Or a Kabuto, I guess. Yeah, Kabuto at 4. Alright, on to their events. You're Not Worthy. 2 copies of that. Visiting the Kabuki. 2 copies of that. Live by the Sword. Of course, it's got to be 4. That's pretty much some cover art. Let's see if I can see it there. Same type character there. Anyway, I got 4 copies of that. Honorable Senpuku for 4. And Die by the Sword, also at 4. Alright, and that's the Japanese deck. Alright, so we'll put the Japanese deck over here. Dig these guys back out and separate them up nice too, I suppose. Alright, so these are the Egyptian commanders and their territories. We'll put those on the yellow Egyptian side, and then these are the Japanese ones. We'll just put them up here. Yeah, when you see gameplay, you'll notice that we use different tokens that don't come with this game to keep track of movement and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, this has been Afterworld CCG / Board Game Hybrid by Panini. The Egyptian and Japanese 2-player starter set. 10-card booster pack. Can't wait to open this. It's going to be pretty neat, I think. See what we pull out of there to modify any of the decks. And again, you've got 2 of these ridiculously oversized gaming mats that, you know, if I recommend cutting them down, but you might not want to as a gamer, but get used to having 6 feet worth of table or playing on an alternative surface. The rule book, and as I said in the previous video, it gives gameplay tips, or, you know, telling what everything is, and then at the very back of the book, like the last 6 pages, is all really cool artwork. Let's see, we got things like that. It's like really good artwork. I'm gonna find a way to get this out of the book safely and securely. That way I'll be able to hang them on my wall, 'cause I'm a big fan of the artwork for this game anyway. Gameplay is pretty decent. And it's the Egyptian and Japanese starter for Afterworld TCG. Came out 2016. There's not a lot of it out there. Panini is doing its own thing with Meta X right now. Hopefully this game will get a little bit of love. It does have a booster box released for it, but we don't have any of that as of yet. The end of next month, possibly. But not right now. We're enjoying these 2-player starter sets. If you can find them for cheap, I highly recommend them. Alright, this has been I'm Done It's Over with an Afterworld unboxing. See you later, YouTube.